Ladies and gents, hello and welcome to a brand new edition of Roots Talk, a flagship podcast of Hello Meghalaya, which is the state's first OTT platform. Well, my guest this episode certainly does not need much introduction. He's a familiar figure in the world of entertainment, films, and movies. He's right here in the studio to talk a little bit about his journey, his experiences, and everything in between. Without further ado, please welcome the multi-hyphenate Merlvin Jude Mukhim.
Thank you.
Merlvin, welcome to the broadcast. I want to kickstart this conversation by asking you a little bit about your family background, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Yeah, sure. I come from a very simple, humble family. I have my mother, and we used to be four siblings. I lost my sister in 2008, and so now there's just my elder sisters and me. I grew up in Dumdum locality, which is a pretty well-known locality that way. And my life was all about sports and games actually, and a fair bit of studies during my initial years, and a lot of music.
All right, I'm sorry about your sister in the first place.
Yeah.
So how does it feel to grow up in a family? Because I know your mom, I know your sister. Mm-hmm. How does it feel like to grow up in a family of very strong women?
I think what it has made me become is be more sensitive to, women folk in general.
Correct.
And it's helped me along the way because, be it in the field of music or movies, or even in the general workplace, it's taught me to be sensitive. It's taught me to be able to deal and cope with the fact that women can definitely be better than myself, so to say.
So when you talk about sports, a little birdie told me that you're also interested in cricket per se, and how you involve the youth from your locality. Is that correct?
Yes. Cricket has always been, a passion for me, as equal as my passion for, music or for the movies.
Right.
And I started early. I was all of 13 years when I started playing for, the senior cricket team. And then so on and so forth, I made it into, the team playing the super division cricket in Shillong. We have the Shillong ground, which is known to be pretty good as compared to maybe other grounds around Northeast. And the kind of coaching that we got and the general bonhomie, it's actually taught me a lot about, team building and team spirit actually, yeah.
See, when we talk about sports, when you look at how infrastructure is here in the state as compared to, let's say, a Manipur or any other northeastern state,
or
where do you think? Yeah, and where do you think we fare as a state in terms of sports?
I would say we are a growing state from that point of view, and lately the infra has started to flow in. Thanks to various association initiatives, and definitely the government is also doing its fair bit. So, I don't think it's going to be far too long before we can actually match up with other states of Northeast in particular.
So, what is needed then for kids here who are really interested in sports, any kind of sport? What is required to support them so they also get that that push? And they also get to achieve a lot of awards and recognition like other kids from other states.
Well, I feel, a great responsibility also falls on localities because they have the Seng Samlas.
Right.
And then we also have various sports clubs, If all of these start becoming more serious and, bring in the initiative, the right kind of initiative to kind of nurture the youngsters, from a tender age. I think that in itself will be a big push. And obviously, you will find people who excel in different sports disciplines, I feel. And then they can be given a bigger push by sending them, to better coaching centers and things like that.
I ask you because, see, 21st century, I don't know if parents have actually moved away from asking their kids just to get into a government job, etc., etc. So if probably you said the push would be from the locals, the Rangbashnongs, etc.
Yeah.
Of course, the push would be needed from parents as well. What are
Of
your
course.
thoughts?
Yeah, I feel that is really important because, like you said, I think there's still that stereotypical way of thinking that, if you have to make it in life, you need to get a government job. And we all know how saturated it's become. It's becoming more and more difficult. And maybe
And people
that's.
think of it as in, you have a government job, then you're secured. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. But then if you look at it truly, I mean, maybe that must be one of the reasons why there's a big push for, raising the entrepreneurial spirit in the young people of today.
I agree.
To become not just job seekers, but job creators, I feel.
So, Merlvin, when you're working with these kids, especially cricket, when we talk of cricket on a national level, people earn a lot of money, they can make a career out of it. But here in a small state like ours, how do you see that scaling away from, these small little tournaments that we'd have probably and doing it at a larger scale?
Yeah, well, the good thing is that you have the Meghalaya Cricket Association, and then under its ambit now you have all of these tournaments of under 15, under 21, and things like that, right? So there is this platform for showcasing your talent, and who's to
scope
say?
is
I mean,
there.
yeah, the scope is there, and if you're good, you're good, and if you are to be spotted, you will be spotted.
Talk to us a little bit. Let's move away from sports for
Yeah.
now. Let's talk about your probably next love, which is music.
Yeah.
How did you get into music? First of all, it's understood that we come from a place where, I think music runs in a bloodstream, if you will.
Yeah.
How did music happen to you?
For me, it started really early. Again, I was about 11, 12 years old, a student of St. Edmund's School. We'd have, different programs, occasions, and I'd be called up to, put in my vocals for it because I think somewhere along the way, my catechism teachers realized that, yeah, this guy can actually sing. I didn't know that about myself too. And then the biggest blessing for me was meeting Brother D'Souza, and he was all in all in charge of, the school plays that we used to have. So I think I was in class 7 when he finally picked me up for this concert, which had to do with Aladdin's story, right? And I think for me, it started from there to realize that, yeah, I mean, I love the stage, I love the lights, I love being in front of the audience, the initial stage fright was there, but then, yeah, with the kind of coaching and mentoring, I think I was able to overcome that. And yeah, for me, if you ask me, yeah, music started pretty early and from school.
So you don't shy away from lights, cameras, and action?
I would like to think that I don't, actually.
See, I ask you because see, nervousness is always good energy.
Yes.
That means you care what you do and for whom you're doing it. Right. So when you started, were you clear that as a vocalist, let's say, a soloist, if you will, were you clear that this is one thing that you would want to pursue in a very long time? Because we'll come to the Shillong Chamber Choir in a bit. Did you have that conviction within you that, okay, this is one thing that I would want to take it forward in life?
Yeah, I did have that feeling early on, and it's continued, throughout my life. And one of the reasons I think is because, the kind of inspiration that I got, the kind of upliftment from my teachers, from my schoolmates, they were always backing me and telling me, man, you got to take this ahead, And I thought, yeah, why not? Because as it is, I have an innate love for it. So it made it so easy for me, actually.
What was your first performance? Do you remember? Where did you sing first?
Well, yeah, that was a lad in and out. And, we'd be inviting schools from across Shillong. And they enjoyed the performance, they enjoyed the songs, and they enjoyed the play in general. And after that, year after year, from 7 till 10, I was always part of the school concerts. And, with the growing of years, my roles also increased in it. Then there came a fair bit of acting in those
Okay.
plays, right?
Right.
Yeah, so that again was another training ground for me for, for the movies, which for me only came about so much later in life. I never had
So music
this.
happened first, that's for
Yeah,
sure. Okay.
that's for sure. And I never really had this thought ever that I'd be someday in Kasi movies
Right,
or
right.
yeah.
So it started off pretty small
Yeah.
in music, and then you went on to become the founding member of the Shillong Chamber Choir, which is a huge, huge deal.
Well, yeah.
Tell us a little bit about the experience when it all started in those initial days.
Again, I mean, as always in my life, my initial days, it's always been my mom who's been there to give me that push. Why don't you get yourself into this? Why don't you get yourself into that?
Right.
You have this talent. Why don't you use it? Don't
So
waste it
you saw
away.
that as an opportunity.
Yeah, yeah. And then she started telling me about Banil at that point of time, that he would be coming back and he's looking to start this, this group that we weren't even sure whether it was going to be called a choir and all that.
Right.
And then we were asked to come for auditions, which I did. And I think that was somewhere in the winter of 2001, if I've got it correct.
How many members initially?
I think we were about 16.
Okay.
16. Because what happened was we started off and then there were more who came in and then some who left. So it was always a continuous process of finding new people. But then we had a good number who stuck on for really long, and that was again a big advantage for us because we could understand our voices together, right? So the blending of voices was so much more easier, and of course, Banil being Banil, the way he taught us was superb.
So did you have any homework to do in terms of your practicing? Because see, to sing on stage
Yeah.
to a large audience is not a joke at
Yeah.
all. What is the prep work that goes into you personally, first of all, and then with the choir as well?
Oh yeah, I mean, your breathing exercises, your vocal exercises, and it had to be constant. It's not that you do it once a week or twice a week and then you leave it. It's an everyday affair, and then I realized that because initially when I got into singing, it was all about your own ability, right? But then with the choir, what happened was it got polished,
I agree.
and
Yeah.
all of these instructions for self practice and that fair bit of dedication that one needs to put in, it helped a lot actually.
And when you were part of the choir, where all did you guys go and sing and things like that?
Well, in one way, I would say I was a little unlucky because I could never make it for the international tours. There's a reason to that also.
Right, right.
But yeah, I've performed in Bangalore, we've performed in Mumbai, we've performed in Delhi, and quite a number of shows here in Shillong too. And they were very well taken.
So if you were to define the Shillong Chamber Choir in a few words, how would you define the choir?
I would say it's just, a getting together of passionate people with the voice to share with the listeners.
Correct. So why did you take the decision to probably move out of the choir now that we know that you're not part of it?
Yeah.
Would you like to share the story?
That was, see, I'll tell you what, I got married early in life, and yeah, with the marriage, there was a whole lot of different responsibility that came in. And I accepted it at that point of time, and we had a good amount of discussion, me and my better half, and my in-laws, of course, because being with the choir also meant that I had to give that much time to it.
Yeah.
For me to be able to make it and to be an intrinsic part of it. So I had to pull myself back, and yeah, it was very difficult for me at that point of time because we had really grown close, and I also had a fair bit of ambition that maybe because I love singing, this is my route forward, and maybe I'll get somewhere someday. but then it just was not meant to be. Then I got myself into work. In fact, I started working at the age of 18, just after my class 12 exams. Uh, I was made to become a manager of probably Shillong's or Meghalaya's first ever cyber cafe at that point of time. Those days, that would be somewhere around 99 and all that. And subsequent to me getting out of the choir, I had to get myself a job, obviously, because I had to run my family. And so it was a good chunk of shift with Grace Systems, and then later in the evening I'd go for news reading with Media Plus those days, and and then small works here and there, all of that. So it really took my time, and I knew that I'd not be able to give the desired time to the choir. So I had to pull myself back.
I feel it's a very wise decision that you took. Given a choice, would you not probably go back to the Shillong Chamber Choir? Given a choice, would you still sing?
Oh yeah, I mean, even before the choir, we had a band which we called Ecstasy. The band was called Ecstasy. It was an a cappella band, and I was the youngest member of the band.
Right.
All of my other members were from school, except for our bass vocalist at that point of time. He was much senior to us, pass out of St. Anthony's. So yeah, we did a fair bit of performances then too. If I were ever to get back into singing, which I will, I feel, I just know it deep
And
down.
why not?
Yeah, it would be with them, because we've been having discussions for quite some time now of how to come back, get together again, and revive the a cappella music, because it is different and there's not much of it here. So we can bring about that difference, I feel.
So what influences your music? I've spoken to a lot of artists and singers, etc. The church has always been that one answer,
Absolutely,
correct?
absolutely, yeah.
Where do you draw your inspiration from, and what influences your music?
See, when I look back, I feel I come from a very musically inclined family. My mom loves to sing. Even when I was very young, she'd be playing the recorder, and we'd be listening to songs. My sisters were there, so they had their own set of likings.
True.
And of course, friends in school, we'd share, cassettes and albums and all of that. So yeah, inspiration has been from a lot of sections, actually.
Sure. So when you look at the scenario that we are at the moment as a state in terms of music and the songs that we do, what's your first reaction?
I feel we've grown a long way.
Why do you
It's
say
no
that?
longer. The reason why I say that is because now, if you look at it, the approach is so much more professional. The time, the dedication is palpable, is visible, and
Yeah.
those days during our time, it was like you had to work to find that time, to give for getting together and creating music. But now I feel with the avenues opening up, the younger generation is so much more into it, and and the internet and all of these facilities that are there
Correct.
are actually making things a whole lot easier.
When we speak of the internet, I don't know how much did you use it during your time. Was it as easily accessible as it is right now?
No, I wouldn't say. It was definitely not easily accessible, for the simple reason that it cost a lot. To log into the net. Those days, I think it was exorbitant. People would be paying about what, eight. When I started off with Patra Communications, I remember people were paying 500 for about what, half an hour. So which meant $1,000 for an hour. So it was expensive, and it was only till the time when internet was brought into the workplace that I felt there was more access to it.
True.
Yeah.
When I went through your entire biodata, very impressive, by the way.
Thank you.
From music, cricket, films, you name it. And then there's one bit which is your lyric writing as well. Since we're talking the internet and artificial intelligence,
Yeah.
etc., because that is the future. You write because it comes from your heart and soul, probably, and then it gets to your mind, and then it's out there for you to sing. Probably your scripts in your movies, etc. If you write your own scripts, with artificial intelligence right now, would you encourage kids to go to chat GPT and, let's say, type something and you get everything ready-made in front of your face?
Well, I would say that, these facilities should be looked at as tools, and not necessarily to just make things easier for you. See, even to use Chat GPT or any of these tools, one would have to have something in the mind,
Yeah.
right? I mean, it has to come from somewhere before that tool can actually further expand your thinking. So I feel, yeah, I would encourage them, but encourage them to use it as a tool for probably researching work, or getting more information, but not necessarily to look at it as something that will make my job easier without me again putting in the effort, to get it out there.
See, nobody can replace a human
Yeah.
creativity and ideas in your own space at IIM, probably.
Yeah.
Does it happen like that, in the sense that how these kids, maneuvering things? Is it more internet based, or is it more field research and things like that?
Well, it's coupling all of them together, There's a lot of field work, but then, yeah, because they are, as it is, brilliant students. I mean, very few of them actually crack the CAT exam to get into an IM, so they are already brilliant people. And I think, with the maturity and training that then happens within the confines of the institute, they get to know how to use it. And I guess they rationalize a big chunk of that, as to, how much can be drawn out of, the AI tools.
I don't know if you've seen this series on Netflix, Adolescence, lately.
Yeah, I just
Seen
watched it actually, yeah.
You know what? I watched the movie and I got goosebumps. A 13-year-old can kill his
Classmate,
classmate.
yeah.
The only question that came to my mind: how safe are your kids online?
Well, yeah, that's a good question, because the kind of exposure and the kind of content that is there today, I think it's a big responsibility on parents too, to be friends and to have these chats with, our kids, to just ensure that, they're not, you can't stop it.
Yeah.
If I were to say as a dad that I would completely be able to stop it, I'd be lying to myself. So knowing very well that there's these kind of contents online, so easily accessible, I think it becomes more of a responsibility to become a friend and to, chit chat with them and guide them,
Right.
and see that, they're not drawn towards it, because I've been a teenage myself. I've gone through, a good chunk of adolescence myself, and I knew how much of a struggle it was, even back then when there was no internet, but there was still so many things to be exposed to.
So, did you watch the movie alone?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah.
So now that you have to teach your kids and tell them what to do and what not to do, I agree. You said that there's no point to put a full stop to what they're doing, because that's totally impossible. What do you suggest then they do, if not get online? Anything else that they should do, probably as a father? What would you?
Oh yeah, I mean, I would love to
suggest them?
see them, being more in the outdoors. A lot of camping and all of those stuff that we used to do then, because there was nothing else for us. Now they're so captured. A lot of their time is spent being, in front of the computer or the phone or the iPad or laptop, whatever. So what it's done is that it's taken a lot, I feel, from them, because when I look at them and I compare my childhood and my teenage days, we had a lot of fun.
Correct.
It was always outdoors, and there's no reason to say that, that cannot be fun.
See, I'm technologically challenged, so I don't even have one game on my mobile phone. So it's very important for me to make sure that I watch content that I would benefit from. So, for example, your anime, for example, WWE, with all due respect to people who love these things, that creates a lot of unwanted reaction, especially amongst kids, because there's that arrogance and that comes from all these programs that they see online.
Yeah.
How much of censorship do you think is required? Because everything is for free.
Yeah.
I don't have to subscribe to anything. I can just watch. Right?
Exactly.
So, how much of that censorship is important? Probably we have your UA, you're under whatever age to watch certain programs.
Yeah, it's important, and that has always been there. I mean, the censorship, like you said, has always been there. But is it really practiced?
Correct.
Even in the confines of home, they still the kids still have access to adult content, for that matter.
Right.
So censorship as something that is there through agencies is one part of it, I feel, and the censorship that comes along with being responsible parents, I feel, is a different angle to it.
True. Well, we'll drift a little bit from artificial intelligence and the internet. Let's talk a little bit about one movie that is a breakthrough movie, if you will, for yourself. What is that movie?
I'd consider Onaatah to be that. Prior to Onaatah, I think I'd done about 5, 6, 7 films, I think, or maybe more. But then, for me, that was one of the most challenging characterizations that I had to bring about. And the way the film shaped finally, and the way it was widely accepted, by the general audience, I think it kind of really gave me a big, sense of push. Yeah, but from the point of view of difficulty in terms of characterization, while I thought that playing the character of Do in Onaatah was tough, I feel the character in my upcoming film Lyngkha Bneng is, for me, even tougher, for the simple reason that it spanned over a period of 2 years and plus months, and to hold a character for that long, I feel was challenging, was really challenging.
One thing that stood out for me during the entire movie when I watched Onaatah was when you guys were sitting on top of the yellow sumo. That was so endearing on all levels. And how do you guys laugh without making it so fake? Now, don't tell me where, because you're a good actor.
Well, you see, I think when you're participating in dialogue and shooting scenes with people you're close to, with who you trust and who you understand, it helps. It helps to such a great extent. Maybe my reaction would be different if it had been somebody else. Maybe, but because I was with Kong Sweetie and we'd done so many films together prior to that, so the bond homie again, that connect was already there, and it just went. I mean, with the flow, basically, and obviously with the flow of character too.
Merlvin, tell us a little bit about why did you sign up in the first place and decide to do the film Onaatah?
Yeah, see, I'm somebody who really gets into the script to try and understand it before committing, and that is how it started. And the discussions with Pradip about the entire essence of it, and how he wanted to develop it, and what was the thought process behind it. I think all of these combined got me hooked to it, and I'm glad I took it up.
So do you enjoy doing all these, I would say, when I say intense, I mean it in the best possible way. Do you like doing all these intense roles, or what kind of characters do you normally like to play? Because again, Homeland of Uncertainty, even that is a very intense movie, so...
Yeah, if given a choice, I would always love to be a villain, because I don't see myself as a hero, because of many reasons. But yeah, I mean, the good thing about working with Pradip...
What are the reasons? Because Do was the real hero in the movie.
Oh, yeah. But I just feel that, there are two, less villains around actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you would stick to doing roles as a villain rather than an actor per se.
Yeah, if that's how the way opens forward for me. But having said that, again, any opportunity is a good opportunity, and the script. Finally, it's all about
Important.
the script.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, what is that one role that you'd probably want to do and you've always aspired to embody in any of the movies, let's say in the future?
Well, that's a tough question because I cannot actually perceive, what may come about, right? But yeah, I mean, see, at the end of the day, working with Pradip, he makes things so much easier for artists like us because when he's writing the script, he already has you in mind most times. So you know, I have this sense of belief in the work that he does. So I feel, yeah, any role will do as long as I'm convinced
Right.
that I'm going to be able to deliver that.
I like how you put that. You said he would actually picture the actor and juxtapose it with your character before he probably reaches out to all of you guys, which is
Yeah.
easier, I feel, because as an actor you have to breathe the
Yeah.
character simple.
Yeah.
Your role in Meshwa and Melody, to me, it was I'll term it because commercial cinema would say bubbly, right? Would you agree with me?
Yeah, I would. I would. I mean, Meshwa was a very, Shillongite kind of a character, and even the dialogue lines, they actually brought this forward through the character, and yeah, I mean, that again was a slightly different character, and I had to work to be able to live up to that.
True.
Yeah, because I'm not generally a very like kind of a, a hyper, loud person. So yeah, so we need to work towards different characters.
So when you look at you've done a lot of films already. When you look at regional cinema, and I'm sure you must watch a lot of movies as well. Where, what is lacking?
See, if you speak about films from Meghalaya, I feel there's a need for more workshops for artists,
Okay.
uh, more workshops for script writers, to enhance the skill, because I've come across many people saying, "Hey, your films are different. It looks professional. You guys seem to know what you're doing." But when we're watching other films, the problem is, we it does not hold for too long because the way the dialogues are spoken is almost as if
I agree with you. Yeah.
artists are trying to remember their lines, and it's almost as if they're reading out of a written text,
Right.
right? So to polish all of that, the passion I'm sure is already there. You can see it in different artists, but the skill upgradation, or the polishing of that, I feel is what is required. Yeah, and it can only come about when certain initiatives are brought into place, and workshops, I feel, for artists especially,
Is important.
must be one of the most important things.
So when you approach a role, when you approach any character, if you have to sign up for any movie, how much of an investment would you make into, again, the prep work? The music was different.
Yeah.
With movies, what all do you need to do as an actor? I mean,
Yeah, I
you've
mean-
done a lot of films. I don't think if you need more practice. But
No. Practice is definitely needed, and it's needed from time to time with every character change, right? So I do a lot of script reading at home, and I'm practicing in front of the mirror. I'm always trying to see what if I deliver the dialogue this way. How will it sound, And then I try variations of it, depending on the kind of scene that is there. So yeah, there's a lot of effort that needs to be put in place actually.
so how would you define Merlvin as a person and Merlvin on set? Because personally, I'm an introvert, and then but when I sit in the studio, I become a different person altogether.
Yeah.
Does that happen to you?
Well, it does. Not much of a difference, other than you know having to live a different character all the time. But intrinsically, I feel I'm one and the same person for the simple reason that if I'm timely with getting things done, being Merlvin, I'm also a timely person when it comes to shoots and all of this. So if you give me a call time of 3 a.m., be rest assured I'll be there. Dot.
Nice.
So I try and do that, because I feel that being able to stick and keep to time is so important. And it reflects across everything. You talk about cricket, it's
Right.
all about how you time the ball. You talk about music, it's your timing and the beats. And so, time is just all encompassing.
Speaking of movies, it was very difficult personally before even Hello Meghalaya happened. I really didn't know where to find Khasi movies, where do I want to watch them.
Yeah.
But now with the platform, I think it's easy access. You can just go, download, click, and you're there.
Absolutely.
What are your thoughts? Firstly, let's look at it in a generic way. What are your thoughts on OTT platform in general, and then we'll take it forward from there.
Yeah, see, I feel as far as filmmaking is concerned, especially here in Meghalaya, the coming of Hello Meghalaya, I am sure many will agree with me. Many who are in this line of filmmaking and entertainment will agree with me that it is a big blessing and a boon for them because of the way it's structured. I've come to understand that for different levels of achievements, there are different levels and patterns of funding, which is really very good because initially there was nothing as such. People would have to put in their own investments and not know what would be the outcome of it, right? Because you're never sure whether your movie is going to work or not commercially, in the sense that whether it will bring you the returns, So, yeah, I mean, it was something that was required maybe sometime back, but finally now it's here. However, will there be an impact in terms of people going to cinemas now?
Nice question. Yeah,
Because
I like that thought. Yeah.
because the access is so much more easier. You can anytime, anywhere, at your own convenience, get to view the movies. Will it affect the theater going culture? That is maybe something where, if at all, some balance, some kind of thought process could be developed. But yeah, having said that too, I feel it's all about the framing. I mean the time frame of it all. It could be that the film comes in and it first gets displayed in theaters and all that, to just give the producers or the investors a fair bit of chance to get the recovery, right? Because when there's audience going to the theaters, that is how possibly is one way of making a recovery out of.
Yeah.
And then perhaps after a certain point of time, it can then be handed over with proper understanding of the commercials and all of that.
So when you do movies and then you also do your music videos, what do you like most?
Music videos for me, I feel, are much more easier.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know why I feel that, but one is that it doesn't take as much time. You're into it, you shoot over a period of say a day or two, and it's done. Whereas in movies, you need to hold the character for as long as the shoot is on, and for instance, if you're doing it over a period of 15, 18 days, that's fine. But what if you're carrying a character for a period of 2 years, like how it was with Lyngkha.
Tell us about the movie that we would all want to know, Bneng. We know that it's won a few awards already at the Moscow International Film Festival. Talk to us a little bit about the movie and your role in it.
Yeah, so the movie speaks a lot about migration, of how people from the villages leave it because of lack of development and nothing to be derived from it. So they're looking for greener pastures, which obviously they feel that, the city or the, places, locations closer to the city would be able to give them. It is also somewhat of a satire in the sense that, we're talking about 2047.
Right.
And the setting of the film is such that, it will make the audience question as to how come
2047.
2047 is what they're talking about and this is what they're portraying. So there is a fair bit of satire in the film too. And most importantly, I feel the film speaks about human connection. It speaks about loneliness and how different people deal with it differently, As far as my character is concerned, it's possibly a 55 to 60-year-old man,
Right.
alone and very dependent on the few remaining people in the village who he's known since maybe younger days and has been in touch with, and they're his only source of friendship.
When we talk about movies, inspiration, you've spoken a little bit about how you've spoken about your music influences, etc. When it comes to movies, any director, probably an international or national, that you admire, any actor whose work that you've loved and why?
Yeah, well, see, directors, see, as it is, I'm not very, academic in approaching cinema. Like those who might have come through, acting schools and things like that.
Oh yeah, before you answer my questions.
Yeah.
So how important if I want to be an actor, let's say, do I need to go to an acting school? Would you recommend?
Yes, I would. That would make one even better.
Okay.
We are self-taught and therefore we have limitations. We would struggle to find different kind of approaches to acting. But for those who've come from acting schools, because of the academic orientedness of it and the kind of exposure that it gives, I feel that can actually help polish the skill to a bigger extent.
Right.
Yeah. So yeah, coming back to
My question.
about directors, I feel there are too many to name. But if you speak about artists, I've loved the work of DiCaprio, and again, I take fair bit of knowledge and learning from the many that are there, in the world space. Yeah, including quite a fair bit of Indian actors too.
So music, movies, cricket, being a father, how do you juggle all of these things together?
I do ask myself that question many a times. When I'm alone, I mean, it sometimes can get a little too much. But then, yeah, I guess.
Do you still have time for yourself?
Yes, I do, and I think. Like what we've been talking about, the ability to space the time for different things, to give certain things the specific amount of time so that there are results that come out of it.
True.
I feel that's what has helped me. And so far so good.
So what's the best feedback or the worst feedback you've gotten for your work, be it music, be it films, be it music videos? I ask you because, see, the internet can be very nasty. Most of the things could always, 80 to 90% would be always the negative comments. My thumb rule is if you don't have anything good to do, good to say, don't say anything at all.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your experiences.
But who can stop?
No, that you cannot. That you cannot.
See, I'd say negative comments would be definitely about my looks, and I've accepted that long time back. I'm not.
That's the problem. I mean, we get too personal. You know what I'm saying?
The looks, and obviously there's this again stereotypical thinking that if you're an actor you must be having this kind of look, this kind of build, this kind of physique, maybe that. But thankfully, I feel a sense of joy that most of the comments coming through in relation to my work over the years, it's been 20 plus years with a good number of films, I feel that sense of joy because I see the positive comments, and those overweigh
Right.
to a great extent, the negative ones. But yeah, as an artist, I have to go with my gut feeling, and I have to continue believing in myself, and I just have to continue delivering. Yeah.
See, uh, stereotype starts and it spreads like quickly, like wildfire. How, especially, see, you've been in the field for years, so probably you're mature enough to handle comments like that. But for the younger generation, probably just being exposed to a lot of attention, a lot of publicity, how would they maintain and sustain their sanity in a world which is so cruel?
It is not easy because, to be very honest with you, there are times when, yeah, it gets really hard on me too. When I see something being written or being spoken of about me and things like that.
It
But
just demotivates you,
yeah, it
correct?
demotivates. But then the kind of guidance and mentorship that you get along the way, most of them will tell you you should never bother. You know,
Yeah. But it's
it's
easier said than done.
it's easier said than done. For which reason I feel your strength in personality itself must outshine for you to be able to just sweep all of those under the carpet, literally.
Let's dwell a little bit on your mum. We all know her as the editor of the famous Shillong Times. Have you had thoughts of getting into her footsteps and probably get into journalism?
Yeah, I'd say yes. I've always been encouraged by the work that she's been doing, uh, that she's done too. And for me, it again started from a very young age. Seeing her work, the early morning hours, and she can be quite ritualistic. When it comes to spacing out her work and then the gardening and everything. But yeah, when it comes to writing, yeah, I feel I had a certain sense of push at one point of time. Not that I've lost it now. I still like to write, but maybe my writing is more, towards lyrics and poetry and all of that. But I did give it a try, from the journalistic point of view. I'd also write scripts during the time when I was doing news reading and all that. And
Right.
having seen her work and all of that, it kind of made it so much more easier for me. And yeah, I've done letters to the editor on various concerns that I felt, be it inconsistency in the electricity supply, the water supply. There was one point of time where I thought the HSRP plating was not being done in a manner that it should be done, and so I wrote about it, and it was surprisingly quite well accepted.
Right.
Because you see the responses coming back on what you've written in the letter to the editor and things like that. So yeah,
So there's that engagement that happens,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
I'll go back to the movies a little bit because I want to hear from you once and for all. What's the filmmaking process, especially here in the region, with the experience that you have? What happens behind the scenes? Anything that our viewers should take away from you being on set? Because what we see is just the final product, and I'm sure there's a lot of hard work that goes behind it as well.
Yeah, movie making for me, I feel, has got a lot to do with planning, ideating, a strong thought process behind what you want to do.
All right.
Um, we have a fair bit of schedule for rehearsals too, because if you ask me, I'd perform better on set if I'm thoroughly prepared, which can only come about through rehearsals, right? But if, let's say, I've not rehearsed for my character and I'm on set, I do get a little shaky.
Right.
Because then, there are questions that arise in your mind. Am I doing it right? Am I doing it wrong? Should I have done it this way? Should I have done it that way? So, yeah, rehearsals are important. And like I said, the planning, the scheduling is of utmost importance.
True.
I've been lucky that for the major part of my works have been with Pradip Kurbah, And he's a person known to be very, professional in his approach. I'd get my shooting dates not less than 2.5 months before,
Nice.
the
Yeah.
the actual work, and so that helps me plan my time. It helps me work out my leaves and my holidays, right? Uh, because yeah, I mean, I'm so grateful that the institute from which I earn my bread and butter, that is the IIM Shillong, has been so supportive about the arts. We have a fair bit of engagement in relation to artistic work, be it with the students or providing an environment for others to be part of different engagements on campus. My colleagues, they've been absolutely wonderful in terms of support, which has helped in a big way because, if you don't get that kind of support, it'll be really difficult to even, try and think forward.
True.
Yeah.
So, I want to ask you another question, that is, any aspiration to get into politics?
Politics, wow. Yeah. I mean, I do get a good push from colleagues from time to time, my locality friends, my school friends, that, hey, Merl, I think, you're meant for politics. You should be, you carry yourself that way. You should be thinking about it. I've never said no, nor am I saying yes. Because I feel that, politics is not something that, is just about getting into, but has to have a background where you're finally going to feel that yes, you can make a difference. And I've not come to that point yet, but who knows.
I like that answer. So we might just see you anytime in the future in the world of politics. I'd like to keep that as an open-ended, probably suggestion, if you will. My final question to you, Merlvin. We do it on every episode, and I want to hear a message that you would like to give to the viewers watching this right now. It does not have to mean only for amateurs, filmmakers, actors, anyone watching the program right now. What's your final thoughts?
Yeah, I guess what I'd say on that front is that one should always maintain belief in oneself, even if the whole world says no, and if your gut feeling says yes, go with the gut feeling. And that life in general is to be lived, and what else? That there's always joy when there are more people backing what you do, and for that to happen, I suppose you need, or oneself needs to be true to self. Yeah.
Very well put. I couldn't think of a better way to end the podcast. Thank you so much for your time, and I wish you the best of luck with your music videos, your films, and anything that's coming up in the pipeline. Thank you so much for your time, Merlvin.
Thank you so much. It's been a joy being here. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.